What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Racy Podcast. This is your host, Cristopher Zamora. Welcome to the show. So today I want to speak to you about this movie called Blink Twice. To be honest, I didn't really see any trailers for this movie before I actually got to see it. I just know that Channing Tatum, I've seen him in a couple of movies before, and it seemed like it was a great movie, to be honest. And I read like the synapse for the movie, like the whole summary for the movie, and I was interested in actually watching it, and I did see it. It's about a man. He's like a billionaire, right? And he has like his own island, and people can go to this island and have a good time, you know. There was like this documentary like beforehand about this guy named Jeffrey Epstein. If you know that name, you know that this is not a good man. He has done terrible things to people, and like he always brought them to this island. That kind of threw me off in a way, but I tried to give this movie a chance. Maybe it wasn't that extreme, you know. But to be honest, like this movie is somewhat disturbing. Yeah, it is somewhat disturbing, and you probably might not want to see it. Like the first half of the movie, I was engaged overall, and like the main character as well. She was a good actress, and I was hooked the whole time. I think like everything that happened right after, like the huge reveal, like in the middle of the movie, that's when the movie kind of threw me off. Yes, I was like a bit disturbed from the movie and everything like that, but just like the ending, I don't know, it did not really make sense at all. Like the whole point of the movie was this guy named Slater King, which was the billionaire. He owns this island, right? He brings these people, like it was just like the girls and with his friends and all. They have fun in this island, and like they take hardcore drugs. When they take these hardcore drugs, let me see, how do I keep this PG? They do not so great things to the woman, and so that's like the main purpose, like the main plot point that you need to know. They don't do good things when the girls are on drugs, you know. But like the reveal at the ending, like how the character turns out to be, it just did not make sense. Like that last part, I feel like it really did not make sense. Like the character's motives at the ending did not really align her character throughout the whole movie. I think that was like my main issue for it. Yes, like the concept, it was engaging and everything, but like the motive that the character had at the ending, nah, it didn't really make sense at all. That's like what threw me off at the end. When they find out, well, like the main character finds out like what was happening on the island, it seemed like she wanted to get out of that place, and so she actually got to find out the snake venom. Supposedly that was the thing that actually made her seem like normal now. Now she knew what was happening and all, and so yeah, just like the ending. If you have not seen the movie, I'm about to spoil it for you. So just pause right here, and if you have not seen the movie, then go see it for yourself if you want to. But at the ending, it turns out that Slater King, she used like some like medicine or something that made him forget. That was like the whole purpose for this whole movie. Slater King, he feels like forgiveness, it wasn't going to do anything to him. That's why he wanted to forget about everything that has happened. He was using like some medicine like to put like these women down, and they won't be able to remember anything that has happened to them. And so somehow like she took that medicine, or somehow she somehow put it on Slater King, and that's how he forgot about everything. And also like the main protagonist, that wasn't her first time ever being there on that island. She has been there before, which was insane. That was like a huge plot twist as well. This wasn't her first rodeo being on that island and all. So yeah, at the ending, her motive was she just wanted the money. Yeah, I thought like at first she wanted to go to the island because she was genuinely in love with this guy. Like she actually likes Slater King, and she thought that this guy actually changed and everything. But no, Slater King was actually worse. Somehow, like his therapist was giving him some medicine that made him like forget, and that's how he used that same medicine for the woman, and probably sometimes for his friends as well, so they can forget what was happening on that island. Like he knew what was going on, but like they didn't until the main character did. So yeah, it was a very strange movie until right in the middle. Like I was engaged like in the first 50 or so minutes, but then like it kind of threw me off at the ending. To be honest, this is a movie that I do not recommend because yes, it does tackle a lot of disturbing events, and maybe that will pull you away from this movie. And that's why I do not recommend this movie if you all do not want to see those scenes, because yeah, it is very controversial and all. And to be honest, I will probably score this movie maybe like a 4 out of 10. Like I said, man, I was engaged like in the first 50 minutes of the movie, but after all of that, this is not a good watch, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like they could have done way better. And just like the ending, I did not like how it ended. So yeah, that is my score, and I don't recommend you to watch this movie if you don't want to see like those scenes that I mentioned to you. So yeah, I do give this movie a 4 out of 10. And now moving on, guys. Let's switch gears. Want to speak to you about boxing. There's this fight that just happened with Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga. What an amazing fight. I actually did enjoy this fight, and this was a guy that actually came to fight against Canelo. He gave it his all, man. I feel like he did way better than Jermell Charlo. Like Jermell Charlo was another person that Canelo fought, and he seemed like he was struggling throughout the whole fight. But Berlanga, this guy is a beast. He's an animal. He actually goes after Canelo, and he was giving him a few good shots at Canelo, but you know, man, Canelo, he just knows like his techniques. He just knows how to box really well. And he was like the more experienced boxer. At 34 years old, he's still killing it, man. Like this fight that he just had with Berlanga, he seemed like he was at his best. Because like his other fights before actually fighting Berlanga, I gotta say, like, he seemed a little sluggish. Like he seemed like a little bit slow. But you know, he still had like his techniques. He knows how to counter and everything like that. But like this one, it seemed like he came prepared. He came prepared to actually fight. And Canelo, he did so well. He actually got a knockdown, I think around round 3 or so. And there was a good chance that probably he was going to KO the guy because he was giving it his all, man. Canelo was giving it his all. Even Edgar Berlanga was giving it his all. To me, he earned his respect to Canelo. Like right at the ending of their fight, Berlanga, he did mention that Canelo is his idol. And then Canelo said, I know. I know. He said, I know that I'm your idol, which was funny. But yeah, man, that was a good fight. Probably one of my favorite fights of the year is that one, and it's between Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Like for that one, I wasn't expecting Ryan Garcia to actually beat Devin Haney. That's what caught me off guard. And yeah, so those two fights, they were very good. And now the other fight that is coming up really soon, to be honest, and you probably might already know who won if you were actually watching it on Saturday. It's between Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois was coming off a loss against Alexander Usyk, but he somehow got to knock down Usyk. To be honest, it seemed like it was a very controversial decision of actually making it to seem like he got a knockdown, but it turns out it wasn't. But to me, it did seem like he actually did get him on the floor. But anyways, Daniel Dubois is going to fight Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, he seemed like he's like one of the top UK fighters as of this moment. And let's see how he actually does against Daniel Dubois. I'm actually going for Anthony Joshua to win. I'm not really sure how Daniel Dubois actually fights. He has 2 losses on his record. Anthony Joshua has 3. So we will see, man. We will see how Anthony Joshua actually does against Daniel Dubois. Hopefully it's a good one, though. It could be a good one. Like, I remember he just KO'd Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou actually got a good fight against Tyson Fury. And people were actually saying that maybe he was going to KO Anthony Joshua some way, somehow. But that never actually happened because Anthony Joshua was the one that KO'd him in the second round. He proved everybody wrong, including me, to be honest. Because that was like around the time that Anthony Joshua, he was going like downhill. And people weren't really going for him to actually win that fight. Like I don't think he wasn't the favorite for that fight, to be honest. And that's why people were saying that he was going to get KO'd and all of this and all of that. And yeah, that did not happen. Versus Ngannou was the one that got KO'd. He was just barely started, man. He was just a guy that was just barely started boxing. And yeah, Anthony Joshua was the main guy on that fight that won. And I think he did great. So now against Daniel Dubois, let's see how long can Daniel Dubois actually hang with Anthony Joshua. If he gets a KO against Anthony Joshua, then that's great for his career, man. Let's see how it actually goes down, man. I'm excited. And another fight that is coming out really soon is between Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev. I like Artur Beterbiev, man. This guy is insane. He goes for the KO and somehow he's like good at being technical as well. I think this might be a really hard fight for Bivol, to be honest. For that fight, I'm actually going for Beterbiev to get the victory. Maybe his age could be the turning point, but I don't know. Maybe that could be a disadvantage for him, but him against Dmitry Bivol, that's like a huge fight on the 175 division. That's a really huge fight, and let's see how it actually goes down. As you guys know, Dmitry Bivol was the second guy to actually take down Canelo. He actually won by decision, and Dmitry Bivol, he's still undefeated. So let's see how that actually goes down, man. I'm actually going for Artur Beterbiev. I feel like those punches that he throws, man, they're like very hard, and Dmitry Bivol, let's see how he actually takes those punches. So yeah, I'm rooting for Artur Beterbiev for that fight. I definitely could be wrong, and maybe Dmitry Bivol can actually get a decision win against Beterbiev. Let's see how it actually goes down, man. I'm excited for that one, to be honest. The last thing I wanted to speak to you about is about the movie called 28 Years Later. Yes, they actually are creating a movie of 28 years later, and I think it's already finished. They already finished shooting the movie. It says right here, I found a a tweet saying that 28 years later was shot entirely on an iPhone 15 Pro Max with some attachments. That's crazy. This is a really high budget movie, and I was so surprised when I read this. An iPhone 15 Pro Max, it's just like this phone. This is a iPhone 14 Pro Max, but like I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked that they actually went with this decision to actually make 28 years later from a phone. That's a really, it could be a really risky thing, but that's awesome. That's actually pretty cool. It can actually motivate people who are potential filmmakers and want to make their own movie one day. Like they don't need a huge high budget camera. They can just actually just make a film using their phone. If you're looking at it like that way. But that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that they actually made that choice of actually filming the movie with an iPhone 15 Pro Max. That's pretty interesting. But as for the movie, how it turns out to be, we will see, man. We will see how it turns out. I actually like the 28 Weeks Later movie. I prefer that one more than the 28 Days Later movie. The sequel was just awesome. Like the whole opening scene for that one, it was just insane. Just like the zombies, they were running, and they're just very rogue, and they just go after their prey and everything. It's just so intense. That was a very intense movie to watch, and I like that movie, man. One of my favorites of the zombie genre, to be honest. That one, and also Dawn of the Dead, like the 2004 version. Pretty good zombie movies. And yeah, guys, that is it for this podcast. Hey, thank you so much for watching and also listening. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to actually follow this podcast on whichever platform you are listening to it. If you are listening to it on Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, make sure to follow it. And also recommend this podcast to a friend or neighbor that actually likes listening to stuff about combat sports, horror stuff, and pop culture things. Maybe they will enjoy this podcast as much as you do. And yeah, guys, that is it. Again, thank you so much for listening and watching. Take care and live to the fullest. Bye.